Greetings, customers. Tiny Rebel night. I ordered some Tiny Rebel because we just got paid the other day. And today I'm drinking some Cwtch, which I think I've told you about before. Welsh for cuddle. Right? The only cuddle this is doing is on the way down. Anyway, we're going to be making a traditional Taiwanese dish. We're going to make Sanbeiji 3-cup chicken. So, what's 3-cup chicken? Well, it's chicken and it has three main, I thought I had 4 fingers on there, 3 main ingredients. And although it says 3 cups, we are not referring to cups as in these things, right? And I'll explain that as we go. So, Sanbeiji, 3-cup chicken. So there's not an awful lot to 3-cup chicken. Okay, it's quite a simple dish. It's a very popular, like I said, Taiwanese dish. And what I'm just doing here is I've got about 50 grams, we'll have, of fresh ginger, although this has been frozen, but I've let it defrost. Okay, and I've just peeled that. So it consists obviously some chicken, and then I've got some fresh ginger, garlic, bird's eye chilies, and then a variety of sauces, okay, which we'll come to in a second, some rock sugar, which I'll explain, and some basil. Now, to be authentic Taiwanese, it needs to be Thai basil. This comes from Ethiopia, right? But that's basically because that's all I can get. So it's, like I say, a Taiwanese dish, but it originated from China, as like a lot of the Taiwanese would. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just slicing my ginger up, okay, into thin slices. Now, it originated in southern China and then sort of got picked up in Taiwan, and in fact, actually, Chinese communities in Malaysia also make their version of 3-cup chicken. So it sort of got around a bit, as it were. So why are we doing 3-cup chicken? Well, part of the reason is because, to be honest, ended up catching bloody COVID after spending the best part of 2 years trying to avoid the bloody thing. Then our excellent leaders, if you can call them that, forced us all back to work, particularly the main job I do, and as a result I ended up catching bloody COVID. So although I'm getting to the end of it now, it has screwed around a bit with my taste. So, and the wife got it as well, and she's feeling the same. So what we said was, how about something a little bit more spicy, something a little bit more tangy, if you like, so we just appreciate taste more. So that's why I decided we'd have a go at 3-cup chicken. So I've got quite a lot of garlic cloves here, I've got about 10, and what I'm going to do is, we're not chopping these up, we just want them peeled. So I'm just crushing them, just to make it a little bit easier to get the peel off, as it were. Now you want about 10 cloves of garlic for this. So I still want to chop my chicken up, but I'm just sort of preparing all the other stuff first, if you like, before I then start chopping the chicken. So we've got the garlic, and like I said, bird's eye chilli. Now I'm going to use about, well actually there's quite small bird's eye chilies, so I might use 3 or 4 of them, and all I'm going to do is just split them. Okay, we're not going to chop them up, we're just going to split them. And I said to you, another thing we've got is rock sugar. Now rock sugar is basically refined sugar, although that's not really rock sugar, because I weren't going to buy a whole bloody pack of rock sugar. Essentially it's just sort of a refined sugar that's in great big lumps that you then pound up into bits. So I've used a bit of jaggery because I had some jaggery from some of my Indian recipes. So we've got that, and I pounded that up into sort of smaller bits, okay, and then I said to you the other thing is the sauces. Now this is partly where the that bit looks a bit manky, it's gone mouldy. This is partly where the name 3 cups come from. Basically, 3 cup chicken consists of essentially 3 sauces, if you like, okay? Sesame oil, Chinese rice wine, and soy sauce. And you don't use, and this is where some people go wrong, they go, oh, this sauce is so bloody wet. I thought this chicken was meant to be all sticky and everything, because they actually go and use a cup measurement of each, and that's way too much. What it means by 3 cup chicken is basically you're using those 3 liquids, if you like, in equal ratios. So it's simply just saying, you know, equal amounts of these 3. Right, so I'm just going to get rid of all that bits of garlic. So I've got my garlic chopped. I just need to slice my chilli. Like I said, we're just going to cut it lengthways, so just so we can get some of the flavours out. And then, apart from measuring out the sauces, it's just about chopping up chicken. So that's basically my chilli's done. So now all I'm going to do is I'm take this chicken and we're just going to cut this into chunks. Okay. Now, when it comes to serving it, there is a traditional way which I'll explain to you, which we'll sort of attempt to do, but we can't do it properly because we haven't got all the gear. Essentially, what we'll end up doing is having it just the chicken, but it is usually served with rice, okay, boiled rice, steamed rice, rice congee, whatever that is. I've no idea what it is. But like I say, we're going to serve it a little bit more traditionally, but I'll explain that a bit nearer the end. So where did this 3 cup of chicken come from? Well, when I say come from, I mean, you know, the recipe, as it were. Well, there's quite a few different stories. Perhaps one of the more, I wouldn't say popular, but perhaps more exciting, if you like, was dating way back to what was it, I think it was the Sang dynasty, might have got that wrong, and it was a national hero, Wen Chang Xiang or something, okay, and he was ended up getting captured by Kublai Khan's armies, and they then held him in prison for 4 years, and during that 4 years they constantly tortured him. Okay, and the story is that it was coming up to the end of his 4 years and they were going to do away with him, you know, execute him. And there was a sympathetic prison warden there, and he said to him, I'm going to cook you something for like your final meal. And he didn't really have an awful lot to hand, so basically he concocted 3 cup chicken, and that was his last meal. Now, although it's called 3 cup chicken, it doesn't have to be chicken. It has been, you know, in the past, people have used pork instead of chicken, and even frog. So I've put a wok, or my version of a wok anyway. I think it's some Indian dish. I can't remember what it's called now, but it serves me as a wok. We're going to put that on, and we want to get that really hot, and then we're going to add about a tablespoon of oil, and at which point we're then going to put in the ginger and the chilli and just sort of toast it, and when that's just about ready, that's when we're then chucking the chicken. All right, so like I say, you're going to want some Chinese rice wine, some sesame oil, preferably not the toasted sort, and then some black vinegar and some soy sauce. Okay, and then like I say, the main other ingredient is this rock sugar. So, not sure if that's up temperature yet. No, not yet. We want to get that like really, really hot. Okay, so it's probably going to spit and make a bloody mess everywhere. Like finding a can of beer. Oh dear, I wonder where they are. Oh, I know. So, like I say, we're just going to get this up hot, and then I'm going to put them chilies in there, and we're just then going to put that ginger in there. And what we want to do is, like I say, just toast that off. Now, although we're putting these sauces in it, the one thing with this dish is that it's effectively a dry dish. Okay, we don't eat it swimming in sauce, which is why I'm saying don't put 3 cups of everything in, because it'll be too bloody wet. Unlike most sort of Chinese type stews, which would be a wet sauce, this isn't, right? So we're just going to toast that for a little bit longer. Right, so that's started to brown the ginger. So at this point, we're now going to chuck the chicken in, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a quick stir, and then I'm going to press it down. If I can figure it that. And what we want to do is then effectively start to get that brown on that side, and then we're going to flip it. Okay, so we don't put the garlic in yet, and we don't put our sauces in yet, and actually our basil goes in right at the end. And if we were doing it the traditional way, it goes in like a clay pot at the end, I mean. So the trick to this is we cook initially for about, the chicken for about 10 minutes on a high, because what we want to do is obviously get the chicken cooked, and we want to get it slightly browning. Okay, and then the idea is then once we put the sauces in, we turn the heat down to low, and that gives chance for the sauces to be absorbed by the meat. A bit ginger on the cough. So like I said, this traditionally would be like, it ends up forming like a sticky sauce. Okay, it's not like dripping wet in a sauce, it's not that kind of thing. I was going to say the black vinegar is like a proper Chinese or Taiwanese vinegar, right? It's got salt in it, and I think it's got a bit of sugar in it. Okay, sesame oil, like I say, it's plain sesame oil, and then just some rice wine. So we'll use the rice wine to deglaze the pan a little bit, and then we'll add the other sauces. But before that, we're going to add that sugar in, even though it's obviously still quite dry at this point, although knowing British chicken, it's probably swimming in water. So just going to flip that chicken. It's not quite browning yet, but we want, like I say, this chicken all cooked all the way through. Okay. So I'll keep going until we're ready to add that sugar. So at this point, I'm going to take that pounded up rock sugar and chuck that in there, and then what we want to do is get that in there, mix it in as well as we can with the chicken, and then we want to carry on heating because we want to sort of caramelise the chicken, if you like, in that sugar. Oh, that's getting warm. And so I've gone through with basil and I've pulled off all the leaves. Okay, now like I said, the traditional way was you would have like a clay pot, which is what you'd serve it in. You would, when this is all cooked, you would lay the Thai basil leaves in the bottom of the pot, put your chicken on top, put the lid on, or put a little bit more with the basil just so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the clay pot. Put the chicken on top, put the lid on, and then you stick it on top of your fire, and you just let it cook through for about another 2 or 3 minutes. And then when you're about ready to serve it, you pour some rice wine over the top, which of course will evaporate off. But the theory is that it pulls the flavours up through the chicken from the basil leaves, and then you carefully pick it up because it's not, and you serve it up, and you might put a few basil leaves on top, and that gives you your authentic sort of Taiwanese version of 3-cup chicken. Now we're not going to do that. We're going to add the basil in at the sort of final end bit, if you like. Okay, and then garnish it with a few leaves on top. So like I say, our next little trick is just to carry on heating this through, because there's quite a bit of moisture in there at the moment, so we need to let that sugar, or let that moisture start to evaporate, let that sugar start to caramelise on the chicken. So that's reduced down quite a lot now, but what I'm now going to do is I'm going to add the first cup. Okay, and what we're going to add is 30 mils of rice wine. Okay, and then I'm just going to use that. It doesn't really need it that much, but just to sort of help deglaze the pan. Okay, and then I'm going to take 30 mils of a cup of light soy sauce and add that, and same again, 30 mils of sesame oil, and that's our 3 main ingredients as such to make the sauce up. So just going to stir that in. Okay. Now at this point I'm going to take that garlic, chuck that in, and we're just going to then mix that through, and then our 2 remaining sauces, as it were, is our black vinegar and some dark soy sauce. Now the black vinegar, I'm going to add about 10 mils of that. Okay. Whoops. And the the dark soy sauce, about 5 mils of that, so about half of that. And then that is all our sauces in there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mix it all in, and then we're going to turn the heat down, and we're just going to let that cook to get those last lot of flavours all in there for about 10 minutes. And then apart from the basil, we're there. So that's how getting on, well, not quite 10 minutes yet, there's now. And what I will do is I will take a good handful of basil, Thai basil, and we're just going to turn the heat off, and we're just going to stir that through. Now what I've done, tried to make it a little bit more authentic, in the bottom of the serving bowl I've just laid some fresh leaves in there. Okay, and then we're just going to toss this through for a little bit, just to give time for the heat to sort of get some of the aroma and flavours from the basil. And then what I'll do is I'll dish it up in there. I'll add a leaf or 2, just a little garnish, and then we'll try it out. So here we go, chopstick time, which I've never been shown how to use these things. I still don't know how to use them. But here's a bit of chicken. Sweet but not overly so, and then gradually the heat of that chilli comes through, and the ginger as well. It is quite hot, bit of garlic. But it certainly helps the palate, clearing the head. Like I say, there is the heat of the chilli comes through, but it's not like overly powering right from the outset, just more there in the background. There you go, 3 cup chicken.